Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United stuck with Mourinho. We'll be talking about why that is in a moment, and it's quite a big thing. But I must just apologise first as to why I am a little bit late. I'm just recovering. I thought Manchester United had declared in November that we're getting relegated. Yeah, just stunned. It was something along the lines of Manchester United Down Under next season, and I was like, finally somebody's woken up and realised that we're heading for relegation. We're not. We're off down to Perth to play a couple of friendlies against Perth Glory and Leeds United in July. The sort of pre-season fixtures Championship sides play, actually, because we're used to playing City and MLS sides in America, but we're going down to Australia this year. I think it's long overdue, but they had a clip of Mourinho saying, "See you down under," and I was like, that clip is going to get pulled off as a meme and used for the rest of this season. I mean, worryingly, I hope Manchester United and Mourinho aren't going to still be together down in Australia in July. That would really send me over the edge. But no, we're going down to Perth to play Down Under. Hopefully not as a Championship club. I'm sure we won't be. But lots I want to discuss tonight. I do want to talk about Mourinho, obviously. I want to talk a little bit about Lingard. I want to talk a little bit about the injuries that we've got. But most of all, it was a fantastic argument. Well, I wouldn't call it an argument. A bit of a debate going on about an hour ago on our Discord channel, which I really want to bring into this show and get your thoughts on it, because it did get very, very heated. There was a lot of people, respectfully, arguing about it from both sides. And basically, it's about... Somebody was saying, people need to respect Jose Mourinho, respect Mourinho, what he's done. He can't attack. He's even admitted he can't attack with Manchester United till he sorts his defence out, and it went from there. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but I must also speak about the headline, which is Manchester United stuck with Jose Mourinho. Now, look, this is... In my opinion, this is facts, what I'm about to spout out here. Not always spouting facts, I'll agree, but I am going to spout some facts. Some real talk, to coin a phrase from Flex and Rant. MUFC Real Talk with Goldbridge. Right, the reality is, for me, there are 3/4 managers that can replace Jose Mourinho. Zidane, who is being touted for the French national job after Deschamps, or Juventus, or Bayern Munich, all of which will be towards the start of next season. So that doesn't help us, does it? Because you snooze, you lose. And United, boy, do we snooze. The second option for me is Laurent Blanc, who is pretty much being touted by the French press to be becoming the next Lyon manager, maybe next season, but potentially this season. So that's Laurent Blanc out of the picture. You got Pochettino, who we know for a fact we will be lucky to get, but if we could get him, you're looking at next summer. And then you got Jardim, who I just really don't think United would go for. I think he's more of a fan pick, a bit like an Eddie Howe. The club are never going to go for somebody like that. So actually, Manchester United, as we stand here now, are stuck with Mourinho because there is nobody else. There is nobody else for Manchester United to go and get at this point in time. So how have they ended up in this situation, and why are we stuck with Jose Mourinho? Well, you know what? To coin a phrase again... Jose Mourinho has got Manchester United by the crown jewels, and he can twist and cause pain and crush any time he wants, because Manchester United have allowed this man to have that situation. Why do you think Jose Mourinho looks so smug and so happy for a man whose reputation's on the line, who's 8th in the league, who's got a negative goal difference, who is an embarrassment, to be honest, mate. You're an embarrassment to what our club's all about with your parking the bus tactics. Why do you think he looks so smug? Because he knows he's in a massive position of security. He was only given a new contract less than a year ago. To sack him is going to cost millions and millions, which will go into his pocket. He also knows if United sack him, what are they going to do? Because despite what anybody says about Mourinho, the reality is, if you sack Jose Mourinho tomorrow, who's coming in as Manchester United manager that's got the same pedigree as him? Now, you may say that pedigree is gone. That pedigree is as good as pedigree chum. It's not even dog food. But it's true. You're not going to get a Zidane. You're not going to get a Pochettino. You're not going to get a Blanc at the moment. So who is there to come in? So Mourinho knows that. And also, Mourinho's a very powerful man in the world of football. He may have a relationship with somebody who knows Zidane. There are already rumours around Mourinho that he is spouting things out like it's second rate at United, the way the club's run, the training facilities, it's second rate. Do you think Jose Mourinho is sat there in the Lowry watching pay-per-view porn 24 hours a day? He's a master tactician. He will be sat there fully aware. He says he doesn't read the press. What else is he going to do in the Lowry? I mean, come on. There's only so much point you can do. And you know what? I think Mourinho does take note of what fans are saying. I think he does take note of what the press is saying. And Mourinho knows, more than anything, how to protect brand Mourinho. And he's got his contract. He knows it's expensive to get rid of him. He knows there's not many manager options out there. And he'll also be feeding it out through all the many contacts he's got that United's not a good job to take, securing his position so that he is safe at United. And Manchester United have got themselves to blame for that. So we are in a situation, as I was speaking about a little bit last night with Mourinho, where I think the club, I don't really know the reasoning behind the club, whether they're happy to keep Mourinho or they just have to keep Mourinho. It definitely starts with a H and an A. But they are stuck with him. There is no intention of sacking him anytime soon. And the general consensus is that Mourinho's future at Manchester United will be decided in May as to whether they move him on in May or whether they keep him for another season. And that's the situation. And I think the only way that would change is if we had a catalogue of terrible results against teams we shouldn't be losing to, like Southampton or whatever. But yeah, I think it's very important as we go into this. This is the last international break until March. Cash back. We haven't got that for a long time. So we need to be realistic, and I really do think that the club are going to back him, and that will be music to the ears of some Mourinho fans. And I think they will back him because they have no option. Bayern Munich are already. The thing that annoys me about our board, and I've said it many a time, is that the snooze you lose mentality. They're not football people. They dither on decisions. And fair play to Fulham, and fair play to clubs like, they sack their manager, they get a new manager in. I mean, apparently Fulham offered the job to Andres Villas-Boas, Jardim and Wenger before settling on Ranieri. But it was decisive, it was quick, and they were very grateful to the manager who got them promoted. But they needed to move on to secure their future, and that's quick. And United don't act quick. You've got shareholders to please, they've got calculators to tap things into. We're slow. There was probably an opportunity to go all in for Zidane a couple of months ago and just do it quick and ruthless, but they didn't do that. And now Zidane's talking to other people. He's looking at the Bayern Munich job because that is a club where there isn't a concern about the way it's run, whether it's second rate or anything like that. Bayern Munich, everybody knows, is a well-run club. But, I had somebody say to me today, if United win 8 of the next 9 games like you've predicted, would you be Jose Mourinho in? No, I'm going to continue to be Mourinho out until May because I'm not somebody who is going to react to bad and good results. I will react to bad results because it will just confirm to me that he needs to go. But I think we're in for a season ride here. I think this is a look at the situation in May and assess that situation in May. And I don't think any amount of wins is going to change the fact that we are not going to be anywhere near the title in May, and that would be the end of Mourinho for me. So that's where I'm looking at. I'm looking at May, and I think the club are definitely looking at that as well. I don't know what you lot think. I'd rather have Van Gaal back, says Gaz Elliott. Walter Smith should get the job, says Paul Talon. Look, the one thing I would say, and I always try to be even-handed, although I am staunchly Mourinho out at this stage, is that if you sacked Mourinho tomorrow, you're probably going to end up with Antonio Conte as your coach. And there's a part, it's all hypothetical, but if you're telling me Mourinho stays till May and then you might get Zidane or Pochettino, then I would wait till May rather than sack him tomorrow and get Conte. I do not want Antonio Conte anywhere near Carrington, Old Trafford or Manchester United's dugout. No way. No way, no way, no way. I don't want him anywhere near. And I would rather keep Mourinho till May than sack him now to get Conte. I do not want him. And that is my fear, is that this board is so incompetent at appointing managers that they probably would sack Mourinho and bring Conte in because he's free and willing to come to United. And I don't want that. And I think you've got to be very, very wary of that. The grass isn't always greener. I mean, to be honest, if Mourinho's field was a field and it was surrounded by grass, every single surrounding field, if you had 100, would be greener than the grass Mourinho's operating, but we'd probably still jump into the ploughed brown shit field of Conte's because that's what our board does. Most grass is greener than Mourinho, but except for Conte's, because he wears a wig. He hasn't got any grass. He's bald. Don't jump into his field. Keep the grass of Mourinho. He's got his real hair. But no, seriously, I would, and you might say that's controversial, I would keep Mourinho than get Conte. I would. You know, and you know, that doesn't mean I'm not Mourinho out, but I would rather have what Mourinho's serving up than what Conte is. He'll choke on his wig. Conte would sign better players than Jose for sure, says Archie. I don't like Conte. I've never liked Conte. I don't like his style of play. I don't like his style of management. I think he's got little man syndrome. I think he gets very aggressive about things. I don't like Conte. I think he's a loose cannon. And we don't need a loose cannon in United because the foundations are already rocked and it will all come crashing down. I don't want any more Chelsea rejects, says Ryan Beals. Exactly, I was about to say that. But what I would say, and I've already divided pigeons, there you go. You're very wrong about Conte, says Emmanuel. Well, I'd go back to what Ryan just said there. Even if you like Conte, why do you want to be a second-rate, second-hand club? Why do you want yet another Chelsea sacked manager? You know, where are the tables of turn? Where are the shifts of power? Even if Conte was a good option, I wouldn't bloody want him because he's a sacked Chelsea manager. We've done that before. Stop going and getting rivals, cast-offs, and build a dynasty of your own. Do it yourself. He's already won the Premier League at Chelsea and then been sacked. Why does that make him a United option? This is the problem with our board. Idiotic decisions. Go and get your own. Build your own dynasty. Then we come to what happened on Discord tonight when the blood pressure's pumped up a little bit. Remember, drop a like on the video and get your comments in. But Frank Lampard I would take, and he's not a Chelsea cast-off. He used to play for Chelsea. But what I would say is this. I went onto Discord tonight, and I know a lot of you've signed up for it, and there was a bit of a... I went in one of the quieter the group chats to start it off, and people started pouring in. And we were talking basically about... there was a Mourinho in it, and he was like... I think that Mourinho's getting a lot of disrespect at the moment because the reality is if he'd got the player he wanted in the summer, we'd be a better attacking team. And Mourinho has admitted that he can't attack until he's built his defence. That's why we're not doing very well. And it went off. And I jumped in and I went, look, I know I'm the presenter. I know I'm meant to be the person who's like very even-handed. But I just want to say here, because it was getting a bit heated, I said, look, the Mourinho in person is right. Mourinho has said... that he can't attack until he sorts his defence out. And his defence hasn't been sorted out. So I agree with that. But the frustration from people who are Mourinho out is that Mourinho mindset is not the only mindset in football. It isn't. You've got different mindsets. You've got Sarri, you've got Klopp, you've got Pochettino, you've got Pep. They are not managers who go, my defence isn't sorted, so I'm not going to attack. Look at Pep Guardiola at the start with City. They were shipping goals all over the place, but they would go and score more goals than the opposition. You know, Pochettino has got a good defence, but they still go and attack. Klopp, again, last season defensively not very good. Just look at Carrick, and they get to a Champions League final. They had a good season, outscoring people. Sarri is a bit of a mixture of the both, but Mourinho's obsession is to build a defence, then go out and attack. And the people always default, well, look at what he did at Real Madrid. He broke the goal-scoring record. But Real Madrid fans hated the way they played. And the reality is, this is why, for me, I don't have any patience with Mourinho. I must build a defence and then I'll attack. Because that's just your approach to football, Jose. I don't like that approach. I prefer what Pep does, what Klopp does, what Sarri does, what other managers do, where they'll go, well, yeah, actually, hello, we're Manchester United. If you want to score 3, we're going to score 4. If you want to score 5, we're going to score 6. Whereas Jose Mourinho at the moment is, I'm going to try and stop you from scoring by parking a bus because my defence is crap, and then I'm going to try and nick a goal. So, look, I get that Mourinho in stance that, yes, Mourinho wants to build his defence before he goes and attacks, but that's just one of many different ways of playing football, and that's why I don't like his style of football, because his focus is always to build a defence first, whereas other managers will actually go and do what football's all about. It starts off 0-0, go and score 6 goals. If they score 5, you've won the game. Hallelujah. Proper football. So that is what I want to see. And also there was another element to it where somebody else cut in and said, look, at the end of the day, Mourinho is a defensive genius, and it's the players that are letting him down. And I said, well, I disagree though, because this goes back to what we were talking about last night. I think what's happened to Mourinho this season is Michael Carrick and Paul McKenna are not defensive coaches. They're not. If you know anything about them, and I know Carrick's very new, and I know McKenna's only really coached youth setups, but you know enough about them to know that they're not defensive-minded coaches. They are progressive coaches. And you know that United are not a progressive team, so you know Mourinho is not listening to them. You know that Rui Faria left in the summer, and we know that the last 2 seasons we had the second best defence in the league, and we were very well organised defensively. I think Mourinho has lost Rui Faria. Mourinho is now the sole coach in charge of decisions, and we have conceded 21 goals, and it's only the middle of November, and we're an absolute defensive mess. And, you know, it wasn't Michael Carrick or Paul McKenna's idea to play Scott McTominay in a back 3. You know, it wasn't their idea to get absolutely raped down the right-hand side like we have done this season. You know, in a footballing sense, we've been very, very, very poor. Very, very poor. And I think Mourinho has been exposed because, as a coach, he hasn't got the people around him that he's always had. Look, at the end of the day, I just think that we've got a few games where we're going to win. We're going to win some games, and I think it's a fasten your seatbelts and get. I've just realised what I've done. I've been calling Kieran McKenna Paul McKenna because Paul McKenna's the magician, isn't he? He's the one who bends the spoon. Sorry, you know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. John Allen Owen says, you know nothing about Michael Carricks as a coach, and then gives me a bit of abuse. Well, to be honest with you, John, it's the last time I'll ever read a comment of yours out, but you've sort of exposed yourself as a lemon, really. So suck it and be bitter, because you can tell by Michael Carrick that he is not a defensive-minded coach, because as a footballer, he wasn't a defensive-minded player. And, you know, you do as you do in life. You don't suddenly become like a defensive-minded coach. Diego Simeone was a defensive-minded player. You know, there are exceptions to that rule, but Michael Carrick has spent the last 12 years at Manchester United under the pupillage of Sir Alex Ferguson, playing in a progressive team. Do you think he's suddenly going to end his career and go straight into coaching and go, you know what, I want to park the bus? I mean, you know what, of course I'm not in Michael Carrick's mind. I don't want to be in Michael Carrick's mind. But you know what, whilst you're sucking on your lemon, maybe you can add a few brain cells there, because let's be honest with you, he is not going to be a defensive-minded coach, Michael Carrick. He is stuck with the manager who he is. I don't want Roberto Martinez anywhere near Manchester United. I actually think Martinez is a crap coach, and he's proved that in the Premier League with Everton before. So I wouldn't want him anywhere near there. There are some interesting things I did want to discuss, though. I just want to say as well, Transfer Daily will obviously be back in the summer and for January. But we are approaching a bit of a transfer window, so it's been a little bit quiet recently. But Transfer Weekly is back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. We will have Transfer Weekly on the United Stand. There's a lot of transfer news floating around at the moment, so if you want it all in one place, Transfer Weekly is back tomorrow at Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So you can join me live for that as a little bit of a shout out for that one. But also I want to talk about a little bit of just a bit of a Thursday night. We've got a Crystal Palace fan on at 8 o'clock because we do the preview on a Thursday night. Just wanted to say, just throw a little bit of positivity your way. Crystal Palace have lost 4 of their last 5 Premier League games. So I think we're going to win on Saturday. I really, really do. But a few injury boosts as well. Dalot is back in training, which I think is massively significant. If you recall that Luke Shaw can't play in this game because he's suspended. So you would expect, well, it's inevitable Ashley Young will play at left back. And that means, is he going to bring Valencia back, who's massively out of favour, or will he play Dalot? And again, I think we might see something from United on Saturday where Mourinho yet again lands on his feet because of circumstance. You know, Martial came into the team because he had loads of people injured, and Martial performed. I'm hoping on Saturday Dalot comes into the team because of the suspension to Shaw, and we get a great performance, and we might sort our right back out, which would be great. So, but Martial back in training as well. We still don't know what the situation is with Pogba, Lukaku and Rashford and Lindelof, but I personally think that I think the only one who might miss out is Lukaku, which again is a bonus. And, take it as positive or negative. I'm not going to pass judgment. Marouane Fellaini is also back in training as well after a little bit of a knock. So we'll see what happens. But I think United will win on Saturday. I really do. And hopefully it will be the start. If you look back to last November, I mean, for me, it was probably the best period of United's season last year. We came back after this international break last year. I think we beat Newcastle, we beat Watford away, and we beat Arsenal away. And I think Watford away and Arsenal away were two of our better games. But we really hit some momentum after this international break last year. And I think we will this year. I think we've got a good run of games, like I say. Palace, Southampton away, Arsenal at home, Fulham at home, then Liverpool, and then we've got a few easier games after that. So there's an opportunity there for United to really get some points. And as I said, to be honest with you, I think if Mourinho was sacked tomorrow, they'd probably appoint Conte. So for me, it's about what's best for Manchester United. At this juncture, I would like Mourinho to stay till May. We scrape top four, we kick him out, and we bring in Pochettino. That, for me, is the dream meal ticket now. So I want United to win anyway, but I want United to win as many games as possible between now and May and try and scrape top four and then kick him out and then get Pochettino in. That's the dream for me. I'm scared if we sack Mourinho now, what the club will do, because I think it starts with C and it ends with an E, and I think it's Conte. I really do. Messi Lingard was on fire in November 2017, says Liquid. I don't think he was. I think Lingard was on fire in December and January, wasn't he? But you might be right. But it's interesting. I was watching the Flex and Rant show earlier, and you know what? I don't have to agree with them. I don't have to agree with Flex and Rants. I don't have to agree with Sophie. I've got my own mind. And it's interesting what Rants was saying about Lingard, because I disagree. I think Lingard's been very, very good for England, playing centrally. But if you're telling me that Jesse Lingard in a midfield three, we're going to win a Premier League title, I'm going to call you a liar. No way. I think Jesse Lingard is a very, very good player. I think if he was at Everton, he'd play first team football week in, week out. But I think at Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, he's a bench player. And I think for United, he's a bench player. And I think people have this stigma with bench players, like it's a bad thing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a bench player at United, and he was absolutely world class. He was a world class finisher. But we had, and he was massively impactful off the bench. I think Jose Lingard. I think Jesse Lingard. I mean, he's never going to be Solskjaer, but I think he can be that sort of player for us. I think the runs he makes, the energy he's got, the damage he could do to teams in the last 20 minutes, I think he could get 10, 15, 20 goals a season off the bench in the last 20 minutes. I think he's so intelligent with his runs. Lingard's turned it around for me. I've always been very critical of Lingard. I never really felt he was good enough. But what I've seen over the last year is I think he can be that. You've got to have players on the bench. I think one thing we've never had with Jose Mourinho is stability in the first 11. But 11, I've gone a bit South African. I mean, we've never had stability in the first 11, and we've never had stability on the bench. But we've never had stability in the first 11, and we've certainly never had stability on the bench. And we certainly used to have that under Sir Alex Ferguson, and I think a lot of clubs have it. I would like to see, and I don't know whether we'll ever see it with Jose. I really don't. I think he is a tinker man, isn't he? I think if we had a first 11, I would love to see an established bench, so that the players who are not on the bench have got to work to dislodge someone from the bench. And I would love to see a Jesse Lingard on the bench, week in, week out, coming on for the last 20 minutes and giving us something. I personally do not think he is a first team player if you want to win a title. At the moment, when we're 8th, he probably is a first team player. And maybe I'm not talking about the immediate now, but certainly in the first, if you want to win a Premier League title, for me, he's a brilliant bench option and a backup if people are injured. But as a first teamer, I'm not quite sure. Although I do think Jose Mourinho thinks he's a first teamer, but then Jose Mourinho, at the starting point, he doesn't get the best out of Lingard. Lingard Southgate does. So there we go. Apparently Lindelof has scored for Sweden. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that would be good. I'm not getting any Discord callers on tonight. No, it's not Discord night tonight. I think we might do it tomorrow night because I was going to do it on Thursday. But we've got the preview on Thursday, so I think we'll do Discord tomorrow night. So make sure you get involved. If you're not on Discord yet, the link to get the invite is on last night's video with me. So there it is. What if we get beat on Saturday, says Ratfink Wilson? We won't get beat on Saturday. We will win on Saturday. 100%. I'm convinced we will win. But it's going to be a very interesting few weeks. But I think there are so many winnable games there that I think we will be fine. Just a little bit of a recap, because people were saying, I've got something really interesting to show you as well. Lindelof scores for Sweden, says Okochu Patrick Oswis. Well, that's good because it means he's fit. There was some worried people about there was some worry about whether he was fit or not. The recap is that Manchester United are stuck with Jose Mourinho because Zidane doesn't want to manage anybody till the summer, and he's probably going to go to Bayern Munich. Pochettino, I don't even think he will leave in the summer, but he certainly won't leave before the summer. Laurent Blanc looks like he's going to Lyon. Jardim, I don't think the club would go for. And obviously Conte is available. I think if Mourinho was sacked tomorrow, we'd get Conte, and I don't want that. But also, I think, as I said, I think Mourinho's got the club by the balls. He's got a new contract. It's going to cost a lot of money to get rid of him, and he knows that the club hasn't got any decent replacement option at the moment. So he's in a mass. That's why he looks so smug, because he knows he's sorted. He probably thinks he's off on the tour to Australia as well. He probably thinks he's here for another season. Imagine that. Stephen Featley says, ignore that hater, Mark. He can have a different opinion to you, but if he's that thick to give you abuse when you give him a voice, then his point is not valid. Well, thanks for that, Stephen. Look, I don't mind people disagreeing with me. I really don't mind people disagreeing with me. It's absolutely fine. I just don't. I don't see the point in a little bit of. I don't see the point in abuse. We're not that sort of community. And the Discord's doing absolutely fantastic, which is why I want to do another Discord tomorrow. I would not be putting myself forward for the new Manchester United job. Ali Osman, no, it's not for me. It's not for me. But if you want to get involved in the chats, do get involved on Discord. Really, really good. The one thing I did want to show you, well, I can't show it you, but I can read it out. I saw this tweet today, and you know, it's always very important to be even-handed. So I just want to show you this, or read it out to you. This was on Twitter today, and where is it? Here it is. So it was a Mourinho winner, and they tweeted it out, Mourinho versus Pep in the Premier League. And it's basically, it's why I say stats are crap. You know, I'm not a big fan of stats. There are some aspects of stats that are worthy. You know, I like heat maps. I think shots on target are sometimes quite good. But in general, I don't like stats because you can manipulate. And this is prime example of this. Mourinho versus Pep in the Premier League, because they joined at the same time a couple of years ago. Signings, Mourinho 11, Pep 22, sorry. Although a lot of those Pep signings, they're not proper signings, you know, a lot of them were youth, etc. But yeah, there you go. So Pep's signed double the players. Trophies won, 3 each. Mourinho's won 3, Pep's won 3. Well, you know, straight away, Pep's won the Premier League. Mourinho's won the Europa League, the Carabao Cup, and I presume we're counting the Charity Shield. So sit down with that one. 3-3. I mean, you know, this context isn't there. It's like saying I've got 3 pairs of trainers and he's got 3 pairs of trainers. Mine might be bloody Gucci and his might be bloody Gola. You know, you know, there are levels. Head-to-heads, Mourinho's won 2, drawn 1, Pep's won 3. But again, it's the manner in which those games have been won. I mean, I can't think. I remember, you know, the Etihad game was a good comeback from 2-0 down, but City bottled it. But look at the way City have beaten us. They've schooled us. Money spent, 302 million by Mourinho, 599 million by Pep. Well, straight away I know that's wrong, because I know Mourinho spent 380 million, so that's not even factual. But my favourite one, minutes given to academy graduates in 18-19. Mourinho, 6,220, Pep, 106. And then they've got a picture of Mourinho wagging his hand at Pep. I mean, this is, you know, people talk about agendas against Mourinho, and I always say, personally, I'm Mourinho out. I've listened to a lot of people who are Mourinho out, and the reason they're Mourinho out is based on evidence. It's either bad performances, things he's said, things he's done, People base it on evidence, but then you get the Mourinho inners, and they've got more propaganda than the bus at Brexit. More lies and nonsense. I mean, minutes given to academy graduates in 1819. Mourinho 6,000, Pep 100. So it's trying to say that Mourinho is a massive promoter of youth and Pep isn't. Look at what Pep's done this season. He's continually putting that Foden guy on the bench in Premier League games and giving him minutes in proper Premier League games. Look at what Mourinho's done with youth this season. Well, Andreas Pereira may as well be training with the reserves because he's not going to get near the team again. Scott McTominay was played as a centre-back. I mean, these 6,000 minutes people talk about of Mourinho giving academy graduates minutes, we may as well say that you may as well put stats of bloody, I don't know, what youth setup team did Alexis Sanchez play for? Because is Mourinho going to claim them graduate minutes as well? I mean, a lot of those minutes are Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard, who are in their mid-20s, who just happen to be products of United's youth system, who had played for managers before at United. It's ridiculous. But it's propaganda, isn't it? It's propaganda to try and say Mourinho's won 3 trophies, Pep's won 3 trophies. But one of them was a bloody Premier League title. And Mourinho's played academy graduates for 6,000 minutes and Pep's done it for 100. But that 100 minutes that Pep's done is way more significant than the 6,000 because Pep is bringing through a player called Foden who is going to be a star of the future and will be Pep's player. Those 6,000 minutes, they're Rashford, they're Lingard, they're Pogba, they're not Mourinho's players. Mourinho hasn't introduced them into the team. They're somebody else's introducer. Mourinho's men are McTominay. There's levels, there's always levels, but the agendas are out there. They are out there. Ishtak, you need to get a life, mate. Bloody hell, if you think they're better than us, you really need to get a life. What do you think about Brexit trying to disallow a certain amount of non-English players? Says Izzy. Look, I don't understand anything about Brexit. Don't ask me anything about it. All I know is when people went to the polls to vote, and I was one of them, it was a load of bloody lies. A load of lies, and it could mess this country up. But I don't want to talk about that. Free Runners says, I've scored 6 goals in one game with a pair of goalers at high school. Look, if class is class. Class is class. Doesn't matter what's on your feet. What do you think if Sir Alex was there today, then United would win the league as DB7 Golden Boy? I personally think Sir Alex Ferguson would win the title with this team. Not the team that Jose plays, not the team that's got Matic and Fellaini in it and Lukaku up front. I think Sir Alex Ferguson would pick a very different team. Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't, I've been wanting to say this for ages, so thanks for that question. Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't have Romelu Lukaku near his team for one simple reason. He would never want a player whose first touch is in Sainsbury's car park. He wouldn't want that. He would want a number 9 who can hold the ball up and feed people into the ball around. There's no point having Michael Carrick in your team, and I know we can't have that now, but this is what Sir Alex Ferguson used to do. Whacking 40-yard passes across the floor from the centre CDM position to the number 9 position and changing the phase of the play so quickly with a 40-yard pass for it to bounce back and hit him in the face. I'm not talking Carrick, I'm talking Sir Alex Ferguson. If Carrick whacked a 40-yard pass into Lukaku these days, everybody in Old Trafford better get a crash helmet on because that ball's bouncing anywhere at speed. Anywhere, but he's not controlling it. And that's why Sir Alex Ferguson would never have Lukaku in his team. He wouldn't have Fellaini in his team. He never had a player like that. The closest he ever got to that was Dion Dublin. And Dion Dublin, actually, for a tall guy, had some decent technique. He wouldn't have Matic in his team because Matic is a B-Tech Carrick who can't pass. He wouldn't. Sir Alex Ferguson would have the lot at right back. He'd have Luke Shaw at left back. He would play Bailly and Lindelof. He would play Pereira. He would play Fred. He would play Pogba. He would play Martial. He would play Sanchez. And I think he'd probably put Rashford up front because that's what Sir Alex Ferguson was all about. Icardi's going to Real Madrid, says Banana Joe. Of course he is. He's certainly not going to come to Manchester United. Of course he's not. Yeah, Abra's right. Look at Berbatov. Berbatov didn't even suit United. In many ways, I feel Berbatov flopped. Not in an obvious flop way, but for people who were watching United around that time, I mean, of course, Berbatov did some great things. The clips are out there. But actually, he was quite an infuriating player for United. It never really went the way we all hoped it was going to go with Berbatov, where he was going to be this number 9 who was scoring, 40 goals a season and the best number 9 in the country. He had flashes of brilliance, but it never quite worked. I think he was just he was slightly lethargic, Berbatov. I think he worked well at Spurs because at Spurs the demand isn't quite the same at United. He was playing at United when you've got bloody Rooney, busting a gut, running around all over the place. That was never Berbatov. And I know Cantona never did that, but Cantona was on a different level to Berbatov. But you're exactly right. Sir Alex Ferguson brought Berbatov in because, Berbatov could control 10 balls in the air. You could smash 10 balls at him and he'd do it blindfolded. He had, absolute magnetic touch, Berbatov. What a first touch he had. But exactly, he wouldn't go near Lukaku, not in a million years. Sam Burgess says, Berbatov had class but looked lazy. Yeah, I mean, look, not a flop in the obvious sense of the word, but it wasn't quite the signing we thought it was going to be. I mean, like I say, he had some brilliant moments, but he didn't get played in the Champions League final, did he? He dropped him for the Champions League final, didn't he? Play Hernandez up front. Fantastic hat-trick against Liverpool, I agree. And he did have the touch of a god, Jack Coleman. My best mate loved Berbatov. He was dead upset when he left. Anyway, I'm going to end the show there because I could just talk all night. I'm in Discord mood where we could talk all night. But thanks everyone for watching. Please do drop a like on the video. Really enjoyed the chat tonight. Do give us your opinions in the comments. Do you think United are stuck with Mourinho? Do you think there is a viable replacement at the moment? I certainly don't. I only think Conte. So for me, let's win as many games as we can. Let's get through to May. Let's scrape top 4. Let's kick Mourinho out and let's go again with Champions League football. I think that's the best case scenario because I don't think if we sacked Mourinho tomorrow, I don't see us getting Zidane or Blanc or Pochettino. So I think we'd end up with Conte. I think we've got to wait for the summer for one of those and hope. Also, tomorrow, 1 o'clock, live again. Transfer Weekly is back. Love doing the transfer stuff on this channel. Been doing it for 4 years. And loads to discuss tomorrow. So just a little bit of a spoiler. There's a few Italian links in there. But join me at 1 o'clock for tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. Get yourself on the Discord server if you want. There's loads of chats ongoing. I can see it on mine now. And you never know, I might pop on there. I was on there for 20 minutes earlier. Speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.